Okay, y'all, what you're staring at or looking at is the 360 all wrapped up. And I've had a viewer who has requested information about how to store his engine, which is very similar to this. It's a Magnum 360. So, or if you prefer the 5.9 liter Magnum. Okay, we're going to get into this, and I'm going to tell you a lot more about how to do this particular thing, how to store your engine for a long period of time. I've been building this engine over a period of months, as I get the money and as I get the time. So, before we get very much into it, though, I need to talk to you all because you've done something. You've gone and you've subscribed to my channel, and it's now over 280. It's just amazing. It's mind-blowing. 280 of you all are subscribing to this channel. That's really big. Okay? Just earlier this year, I broke 100. Earlier this year, like in January, February. So, pretty amazing. I really, truly do thank you for that. It's really big, and I'm always going to be very, very appreciative of that. Okay, so but I'm going to talk some more to, especially to my newer viewers, in another video, and I will basically give a breakdown of what this channel does, what I do here on this channel. Okay, so all right, let's get back to the engine. Okay, enough of me. So what you're going to do now, what I'm going to be telling you, everything about doing this is going to be, as usual, is going to be cheap, inexpensive, and easy. Materials are going to be easy to come by. Okay, none of this is going to be really, really difficult or really, really hard stuff to come up with. Okay, but first we need to unwrap this, and I want to show you some very important bits and pieces. Okay, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to set the camera up here so you can see what's happening. Okay. All right, there we are. Okay, first of all, garbage bag. I know what you're thinking. He's just throwing a garbage bag on there, and that's good enough to protect the engine. No and no. There is more to it than that. Okay? So, what we do here is this. Now, I will tell you, if you have the oil pan on the engine, getting a garbage bag over the engine is going to be much harder. Okay? So, we'll just set this over here for the time being. Okay, now you're seeing all kinds of towels. All right. Now, these are all old towels. They have holes in them. They're worn out. They're bath towels from my home, out of my home. There are also some old beach towels, too. If you don't have access to anything like this, try going to, like, getting some really cheap ones at, like, say, Dollar General, something like that. So, there you go. So, here we go. We'll just start unwrapping. Okay. Now, most all of these towels have oil in them, some engine oil in them, or some penetrating oil in them, or transmission fluid. So they're permeated with that, so they're very, very good at keeping the engine and all of its metal parts from rusting and corroding. Now this is how I store my engine, is like this. Now if we're talking, now this is not extreme long-term storage though. This is like, you know, a few weeks, and then you go and you so there we are, voila. Ooh, ah, okay. All right, now that we're down to this part, the person, the viewer who asked the question about storing his engine did not make it clear whether he has an intake manifold on the engine or not. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, if you don't have an intake manifold, go grab one, clean it up as well as you can, and then stick it down on here. Okay, even without gaskets. Main thing is you want to just cover up this large hole here, okay, the lifter valley hole. Lifter valley, you want to cover that all up, get it covered up so that you can keep the crud out. The main things you're going to want to be keeping out are your dirt, everything out here in the environment. You know, the dirt, bugs, dust, which of course is dirt, but you know, of course there's hair and lint and everything like that too. But you're also going to want to keep out any kind of mice and rodents, those sort of things. They love these intake ports and exhaust ports. So they are really, that's really popular with them. They love those. Now, I can vouch and say that the towels with all the oil on them wrap this engine up, and with the trash bag also has kept this engine very clean and very moisture free. Okay, now here in my garage, it is not a climate controlled environment. It is just what it is. It's just, you know, it's just an old garage, and there's all kinds of places where dirt can get in here and all kinds of other elements that I don't want in this engine. So that's why I wrap this thing up every time I get done working on doing something on it. I wrap this sucker up so that when I'm not working on it, it's covered. Now, if we're talking extreme long-term storage, months at a time, like the person asking this question, like I said, intake manifold would be an excellent idea. If you don't have an intake manifold on there, then I would probably use some cardboard and maybe tape it to this forward portion of the block and to the back portion of the block, or just some long strips of wide masking tape or duct tape. Hold on a minute. Let me get something. Show you. Be right back. Okay, y'all. All right, we are back. And like I was saying, you know, I don't know exactly how far along the person who posted the question, a viewer, but I will try to answer his question best I can. Now, like I said, though, if he doesn't have an intake on here, he can get one. Even a 2-barrel intake would be fine on here, just to store it, because he would have just basically the carburetor base to cover up, which you can cover that up with, like, you know, the a carburetor, okay, or just some strips of masking tape, duct tape. I tell you what, in future reference here in this video, I'm going to say tape, and that's, you can pretty much understand that means duct tape or masking tape. Okay, of course, duct tape is going to be more durable. It's going to usually last longer. Masking tape is usually not as durable and usually won't last as long. But you know, whatever you feel more comfortable using, that's going to be your best options. Okay, so that choice is completely up to you. If it were me, long-term storage, I'd be going with duct tape, but you know, that's your pick. If he just has, just the intake, then a carburetor sitting on the carburetor base would be a perfect idea. If not, see, I have an intake sitting right over here. So actually 2 or 3 right there. So you can see that if you're just covering up the carburetor base, it's not a very big area there to cover up. Okay, and the 2-barrel would be even smaller. Okay, now a lifting bracket that you would bolt to this here, or this style intake, either one, you could do that, and it would cover up that hole too, especially if you use like a carburetor base gasket with it. So just something to think about there. Furthermore, you could also use a lot of several strips of tape on the top of those. Okay, now keeping it out of the interior of the engine, like your lifter valley, your crankcase, and the inside of the cylinders, is going to be the primary thing, and that's where most people would focus their attention. But keeping stuff out of the cooling system, water jackets, is going to be very important as well. If you can use some sort of plugs here, or if you already have your timing cover on, like on this 318 right here, the timing cover's on this. As you can see, you have just 2 holes right here that open up to the outside. Okay, now in the case of this 360, I've got almost all of my core plugs in, and I have these drain plugs in on both sides. So as you can see, I've got the core plugs or freeze out plugs up front too. Now when you do that, you're able, of course, to keep more of that crud out that could get in there. But of course, I don't have a time cover on right now. That's coming later. But I have a Magnum timing cover here, so yeah, here we go. Almost like a bell. But you can see right here, you just have those 2 holes. That's where the water pump would go. If you have a water pump, you could just quickly throw the water pump on. But honestly, you would have several holes where you'd have 2 or 3 holes there from the water pump. If you do already have the water pump on, then you would just basically cover up the holes of the water pump, like where your water, where your radiator hose goes on, the lower radiator hose, which I think is over here in this particular area, would go on. You would just cover that up, masking tape, duct tape, anything like that. Also, you'll probably want to go through and plug off your heater hose nipples. There's one on, I believe there's one on the water pump, and there's one on the intake manifold. We'll go back over here to look at the intake manifold. Yep, see one right there. Okay, so you could tape those off, wouldn't be no big deal. Matter of fact, we have a water pump right here. You can see, okay, here's the bypass, goes right there. You could just simply tape those off, or just get your bypass hose, put it on there, no big deal. You could also, here's one of the heater hose nipples, like I was saying, you could just run like a piece of heater hose from here to the nipple on the intake manifold, and you'd be done. Okay, so you could do that. That would plug those off, and it would keep out any kind of annoying critters out of there that would make a mess. Especially like your dirt daubers, they will get in there, pack up a lot of these little small holes full of dirt. So just something to be aware of. I've had to clean them out several times myself. So, furthermore, you'll want to probably also go through and coat the engine in a lot of different kinds of, now he said he was putting some oil, a teaspoon oil in each cylinder, which is an excellent idea. However, I would probably go through and I would use something, yes, here it is, Seafoam Deep Creep. Okay, I've talked about this on this particular product on this channel before. No, I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody. It just is an excellent product and it works very, very well. I do highly recommend it. PB Blaster is another one. Works really well. Maybe not as well as Deep Creep, but still really, really good. You know, so if you can't find one, use the other. Okay. Usually the Deep Creep is a little more expensive, but you can get both of them in Walmart for relatively inexpensively. Okay, so I would spray down, if the block is not painted, I would spray down the bare metal areas of the block to keep any kind of rust and any kind of corrosion from occurring. That would keep all of that stuff at bay. Let me show you something right here. You see this cam right here, right there, got polished, but now it's starting to rust just a little bit. But I've been keeping all of these covered. You see that one back there? I've been keeping all of them covered with that Seafoam Deep Creep, spraying them with that, and it works exceptionally well. So, and these are not, I mean, these have not been covered with anything other than just the Seafoam Deep Creep or the PB Blaster. And I've not been keeping them, you know, wrapped up in a towel or nothing like that. So, furthermore, here's another little tape idea. This kind of tape here is, I think I bought this in Advanced Auto Parts. This is basically just a very thin sheet of aluminum. And I was thinking, when I looked at this just a minute ago, I thought this would be a really good idea to tape off like intake and exhaust ports. I mean, it's sticky on one side, and you could just simply place it over this and tape it all off. However, if you are using tape on these, be sure to remember these areas have to be nice and clean and free of dirt, free of any oil. Okay, so these same ideas I'm giving you here can be used on a whole variety of different engines, whether newly rebuilt or not. So don't let any of this stymie you. Okay. Furthermore, plugs, cap plugs. Okay, now you notice I said you could plug off these areas here. You probably could plug them off with tape, but it might be a little more difficult. Honestly, if it was me, I would get some plugs like these. And let's see here. Let's see here. Maybe. Okay, that's a little bit small, but you get the general idea of what I'm talking about here. Okay, you'll see this one, a large one like that. Radiator hose nipple, be perfect for that. But let's see. No, not really. But I mean, it's not bad. You know, you help cover that up. You know, tape it. Put some tape over that once you got that on there. But let's see. See, those holes are kind of unusual because you have this curved area here. So maybe, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. Not too bad. All right. If you do get it in there, though, you might, and you got the timing cover on the engine, you might want to use some sort of needle nose pliers or tweezers to get it out. But you get the general idea of what I'm talking about here, okay? So, yeah, and I mean, almost all of these I have saved over the years and just been saving them from different parts you know, I mean, you buy like a water pump or maybe a radiator or something like that, and it comes with a lot of this stuff, or like an AC compressor. They'll come with these, and so I just have been saving them over the years, and this is what I got. Okay, so there you are. You know, very inexpensive. Of course, the tape, not very expensive at all. I don't have duct tape out here, but you know, it's the same basic idea. Now, like I was saying though about the deep creep, you know, spraying the exterior surfaces of, you know, I've even also sprayed it on the cam, the timing chain, the crankshaft, all the bottom end, the connecting rods, everything. I've even sprayed it on the exterior surfaces of the engine to keep that from rusting as well. That will probably come back to haunt me when I go to paint this thing. There's going to be a lot of cleaning involved in there. So, but I won't have rust. So there you go. Also, another thing you want to do. It seems like almost like, you know, silliness, but grab yourself a set of spark plugs and just, you know, you don't even have to run them down all the way. Just thread them in, and there you go. You've plugged off the cylinders. Now, of course, your cam is going to have your valve train open, and you might want to go and just loosen these bolts up here on your rocker shafts. I know on the Magnum it has the pedestal rockers, so you just loosen the bolts up on them, and then you close the valves and you release the tension on the springs as well. Okay, you can do either, you know, you can do that, or like I said, just cap everything off. Okay, you may want to do both, because of course you know, any rodents getting up in here, they will urinate in here, and rodents urinate everywhere. So everywhere they go, they're constantly urinating. So that's one of the reasons why they cause so much problems, especially on metal. If you already have like exhaust manifolds or headers already bolted up, which is a great idea, just take the exhaust manifold, cap off the end with some tape, or the header. Okay, same thing. The trash bags, like I use to cover this, when I didn't have the oil pan on, a 30-gallon trash bag was perfect. Now that I've got the oil pan on, it's a 39-gallon trash bag, and it's still really difficult. So, if you can find bigger ones at, like, you know, your big box stores like Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, something like that, there you go. But, of course, you know, if you've got valve covers, set them on. You don't have to just run, you know, put a couple of bolts in them, run them down. That's that. Okay? We're talking just long-term storage here. Furthermore, and you probably will have to take the plugs out to do this, especially if you've put any amount of oil in the cylinders. You're going to want to bar the engine over every 2 or 3, you know, every maybe a couple of times a month, maybe once a month, something like that. That may be a bit excessive, but it will ensure that you won't have any kind of seizing up, locking up, or anything like that. Also, you may want to let's see. Oh yeah. Sorry, having a little brain fart there. Okay, lost my train of thought. But, you know, any of these things can be easily replicated and used on virtually any engine out there. Okay, so it's not just, you know, Mopars. It can be done on anything, any engine out there. You know, when you rebuild an engine, or if you don't rebuild an engine, you got a whole lot of money sitting there. You don't want it being disrupted or destroyed by dirt and bugs and, you know, rodents and all sorts of other stuff. Okay. Okay. I thought of the other two things. The other things you're going to want to focus on is if your engine is where it's being stored at. Now, out here in my garage, it's nice and dry. I don't have to really worry about moisture or anything like that. However, like I said earlier, it is nowhere near being climate controlled. So I'm going to have to really, that's going to be a problem, you know. That's why I wrap the engine up so much like I do. I go through a lot of trouble wrapping the engine up. Furthermore, now I was talking about barring the engine over every so often. If you can store the engine like on an engine stand like what I've got, or if you're storing it on an engine test stand or run stand, either one of those are going to be pretty darn good. You're not going to want to like leave it laying on its the back, standing upright. That's okay. Not a bad way to store the engine, but it's not the most ideal. If you can store it, you know, even if you can store it laying on its side, you can at least bar the engine over every so often. Okay. But, you know, and something else too, you know, when it comes to like, if you've got like, let's say you don't have your valve covers bought yet that you want to use on the engine, or, you know, maybe you don't have the intake bought yet that you want to use on the engine, make sure whatever you're storing, whatever is on the engine for that long-term storage, is nice and clean. It's not going to, there's nothing going to come out of that thing, those parts, to deposit into your engine. Okay, so just you know, word of caution. Okay, and that's pretty much going to wrap it up there. Okay, there's just not much more I can give you there on that. Oh, one other thing, if you can prime the engine with oil, that's going to help out a whole lot. However, if you do prime it with oil, you're going to want to keep it upright, like how my 360 is sitting right here, you know, upright like this, okay, or like the 318 there. Either way, that's going to like help you out tremendously, because if you don't, you could be facing a whole lot of problems later on. Yeah, if you can prime it, it's going to help out tremendously. You see, to prime the engine, beautifully simple. Beautifully simple. One, no distributor and no distributor drive shaft. Okay. Secondly, you're going to want to use a, I know I've got an oil pump here somewhere. Shoot. Let's see. Anyway, yeah, here we go. Okay. It's a hex drive. It's not a very big one. It's 5/16. Yeah, it's 5/16. So run out and get yourself a 5/16 hex drive bit like this, and then go and put yourself a long extension on it, or maybe several of these shorter ones, and then chuck it up in your drill. You can get these, let's see, okay, I don't have them out here. You can get these bits like this. This is 1/4 inch drive, but you can get like 3/8 and 1/2 inch drive. I got mine at AutoZone, okay? And they're pretty durable, and you can use them in your drills like this, or you can use them in the impact drill like this here, okay? Simple, simple, simple. All right, and you can do that, and you see, this just allows you to use that one of those impact drivers like what I've got with, you know, your 1/4 inch drive sockets and ratchets, 1/4 inch sockets and extensions and things like that. Okay, but they, like I said, they make these in 3/8 also. So there you go, and you can basically just put all of that down into the oil pump. You know, the 5/16. Okay. Let's, wait. Here we go. Yeah. There we go. I'll just set this up for you. You can see here. Okay, very, very simple to do. Not complex at all. Okay, extension. And let me go get something. I'll be right back. Okay, y'all. See? Pretty simple stuff right there. And then you'll want to basically turn it in the direction of engine rotation. And then when you do, you can basically, you can control the oil, you're pumping it up through all the oil galleys and everything like that in the engine. Okay, and then when you do, it can come out through the rocker shafts and the rockers and everything like that. And it'll come through the cam bearings and the connecting rod bearings and main bearings and all of that. And that will help to secure this engine for a long period of time, you know. So this guy is talking about storing it for like several months. These are the steps he's going to want to take. Okay, so, but I just thought I would put that out there because he did ask, and it's a valid question. You know, he's got done rebuilding his engine, so he needs some good advice on how to store it. He's already got some great ideas. I just thought I would like add to it and help him out. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, as usual. And as usual, if you have any questions, comments, ideas about this video or any others, you know what to do. You're smart. Put it down there below, and I will answer your question as best as I can and as soon as I can. I love that interaction back and forth. And also, if you subscribe, you get notified every single time I make one of these videos. All right, so thank you very much. And I know this is a long video, but there's a lot of information to cover. Probably should have broken it up into two parts, but you know, it's just the way it is. Okay, so thank you, and God bless, and have a great one.